No problem.
Yeah, I'm standing in Indian Wells where David Five.
Oh, sweet.
Excellent.
That sounds nice. It's a beautiful day in the Bay Area, finally, but nothing like 85.
Really.
It's about 65 here. It's really nice.
So if you remember, Bruce and I have to do our 2-minute little interlude. So stay with us here. Okay, ready?
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. Welcome. You're listening to Sports Econ 101, the show where we discuss sports topics from a business perspective. I'm your host, Edward Brown, along with my co-host, Bruce McGowan, longtime sports radio personality. Bruce, who's our guest going to be coming on in the second segment?
Well, he is I like to call him a sports lifer. He's like me. He's been doing this forever and ever as a writer for a number of publications in the Bay Area here. He worked for many years for the San Francisco Chronicle, the San Francisco Examiner, and he'll list some of the many places he's worked, but he's also covered everything and is covering, as we speak, a pro tennis match right now down in Indian Wells. But we're going to talk some just generic sports with Art Spander, who's a good friend of ours, and I think you'll really enjoy the conversation.
All right, and definitely, I've been pushing this off for a couple of weeks, but I definitely want to talk about fans calling the plays. There was an article in the magazine not too long ago,
Okay.
and I think it's actually going to, I don't know if it'll work or not, but I think it'll be exciting, sort of like fantasy sports.
Okay.
It's like, who would have thought about fantasy sports, and now they got all these whole leagues and everything like that.
See what Art thinks of that.
Okay.
He probably's got some opinions, too.
I'm sure he does. I'm sure he does. Well, he's an old timer like us. So
Yes,
he
he
probably
is.
won't like it. But, all right. So,
I don't like it either.
Yeah. Especially depends on who makes the call.
That's true.
All right. Today, let's see here. We're going to ask a sports trivia question,
And we'll give Art a chance to
absolutely
answer that.
It's going to be baseball trivia since we're just coming out of spring training here pretty soon. And this segment of Sports Econ 101 is sponsored by Pacific Private Money, still providing mortgage investments that are currently yielding over 7.5%, secured by Bay Area real estate. It doesn't get any more conservative than that. You got to check them out at pacificprivatemoney.com, or they have a fund too. It's just specifically called Pacific Money Fund.
One of these days, I'm going to sit in on one of your business shows and learn a few things.
Oh, yeah.
I'm picking up stuff slowly through osmosis, but I'm still kind of a neophyte when it comes to this stuff.
No, it's kind of fun. We kind of cover a little bit of, we cover real estate, a little bit of the economy, interest rates,
Good educational material.
Very much.
Yeah.
All right, so stay with us. When we come back, Art Spander will be with us. You're listening to Sports Econ 101. Don't touch that dial. All right, thanks, Art. Let me just save the file here, and
we'll get right to you here.
Okay.
So, Art, are you covering men's or women's tennis or both?
Well, no, the tournament is one of four besides Grand Slam.
Ah.
Men and women both are here.
Okay, cool.
And everybody except Serena, who withdrew yesterday because of a bad knee. You got the Federers, you got Venus.
Wow.
You got Djokovic, Nadal.
Wow.
Anyway, this is the first big event after the Australian. And there's another one next week or 2 weeks from now. This last 2 weeks in Key Biscayne.
Okay.
And then they go back to where the men and women are playing separate events.
Wow.
Until you get to the French Open, which is the last week in May, beginning of June.
Okay, let's talk about that a little bit here. I'd like to get your thoughts about that and pro tennis in general. And Art, if you could do me a favor, try not to move around too much and get up your mouth as close to the speaker as possible. That would be great. And you're a good talker, so I don't think we'll have any problems.
I'm outside because if I talk inside,
yeah, it drives people crazy. I know I'm the same way. I drive everybody crazy, Art, with my talking. You know me.
All right, guys.
Here we go.
Welcome back to Sports Econ 101. I'm Edward Brown, your host, along with Bruce McGowan. Bruce, is Art on the phone?
Yes, we've got Art Spander on the phone, and Art is a good friend of ours, known Art since I broke into broadcasting back in 1975. He'd already been in the profession as a sports writer for a good 15 years before that, and Art is still active and busy, and right now, as we speak, he is down in Indian Wells, California, which is kind of out in the desert, covering a pro tennis tournament, men's and women's. And Art, before we get in, we want to talk a little baseball with you, but we do want to get into what's going on the tennis scene, because this is a big-time worldwide, there are a lot of countries these players travel to, and right now they're just starting a new circuit, I guess, with all the different places that they're going to be visiting. Tell us about what's the deal on this particular tournament in Indian Wells, and who's there?
This is one of 4 tournaments where the men and women play outside of the 4 Grand Slams. So it's a pretty big event. First, let's say, major type event is the Australian Open, which was the last weekend in January. And so you have usually during the year, men, the ATP, and women, the WTA, play separately. One might be in France or nuts like that. There'll be usually 3 or 4 events, but the women and men are separate tournaments. And of course, the women come to Stanford in July, I believe it is. The men are not there. But this is like the 4 Grand Slams. It's not quite as important as Wimbledon or the French Open or U.S. Tennis Open, but it's big. And so everybody's here except Serena, who withdrew yesterday because of a bad knee. You just wonder about Serena and Tiger Woods. Tiger may never play. I'm just worried about him. Serena's always injured now. She's 35, heading to 36, and your body takes a beating. So it'll be interesting. But the weather is wonderful down here, and that's one of the reasons people come.
I got to ask you about Tiger Woods too, because it seems to me, Art, you covered golf very closely, and this guy was like a streaking comet for a number of years. But just the toll, the physical toll you mentioned that any sport takes on the human body, it's amazing when you watch how many years he played as a kid, and his dad got him in. He was a prodigy, and he was at the top of the game in his early 30s. But it just seems like he's tried to come back, and it's one thing after another after another. Is he ever going to be even close to where he used to be?
I don't think he'll be close. The question now is whether he can play at all. I mean, he played at San Diego, just a cut. Okay. And then he goes to Dubai for big money. The United States, the PGA is not allowed to give guarantees. But the non-American tournaments overseas do give guarantees. So he went over there, I'm sure, a couple of $1 million, and he withdrew because of a bad back. Now, he said he was out for 15 months, I believe it was, after back surgery. He's 41 years old. And so you wonder, this is like any other sport, even though people don't consider golf the same category as say, football, particularly, or even basketball or baseball. We're hanging around and running and everything. It's tough on the knees, it's tough on the back, and shoulders, and guys get the same problems they do in baseball. No, he is 41 years old, and there's a good question whether he'll ever be able to play. And that, I don't think he's going to win a major again, but whether he'll be playing well enough to get in contention. Now, something I found, and you guys probably know this, great athletes, greatness never disappears. It always stays there. Like your body is, I always think of the line, who the baseball player said, your body's like a bar of soap. It continues to wear down.
Yeah, and of course, Tiger Woods, as we mentioned, has given us all so many thrills. Even those of us who are not big golf fans. Well, you and I were talking about baseball the other day, and Art has been covering a lot of Major League Baseball, and you're a big fan of spring training. Are you getting into it as much as I am? And I imagine,
I haven't yet.
Okay.
I may miss a lot of it.
Yeah.
To be honest with you. One quick thing about Tiger, though. I wonder maybe he should just rehab for a few years and wait for the senior tour.
What do you have to? You have to be 50 to be in the senior.
Healthy enough.
45.
And I wrote training golf basically. I started doing with the Chronicle 65. I don't want to date myself, but it's a long time.
1965. Yeah, that's right.
One of the things that Tiger has done, even more than Nicklaus, who was I think still the greatest, or Arnie, who basically made the game what it is that Tiger brought in a different group of people.
Yeah.
Brought in minorities, brought in kids, younger people. As he once said, he made golf cool. So they've got other great golfers out there, Jordan Spieth and Rory McIlroy and people like that. But there was only one Tiger Woods who crossed all these lines. So golf will miss him, and I don't think there'll be another guy like him.
Yeah. Well, and of course that brings us back to the sounds of spring, and as Edward was saying, he's probably been so busy with his job to not really pay that close attention. And I covered about six spring trainings, and I know you've covered probably about a couple of dozen. What's your take on I don't want to talk just about our Bay Area teams because we are a national show, and there are a lot of people around the country that want to know what the Cubs are doing and the Yankees. What's your take on spring training, Art? Do you get into the little side stories of the guys that are sort of marginal, or do you enjoy talking to the older players who are trying to hang in there for another year? What do you like to do?
Yeah, and spring training is really time of dreaming. For young players and the fans, one of the things, particularly, not as bad if you live in the West. You live someplace in California or even maybe Colorado, but you come out of the Northeast after a tough winter. Spring training is as psychological as it is physical. And you get there, and you haven't seen a green leaf or a blade of grass 3 months, and everything's green. Or down here in the desert, and I just came from Scottsdale. It's brown, but the sky is blue. That's the big thing. And what I'm writing a weekly column for the Examiner, and I wrote the other day, the Giants have lost 8 games in a row. And somebody said, I know this too. Dummy, they don't count. It's true, they don't count. But I asked Bruce Bochy, the manager of the Giants, is this tough, losing game after game? He says, well, in 2 weeks it would be, meaning when they're much closer to the regular season. He said, I'd like to win some, so you guys would stop asking.
Yeah. Well, you got to figure, aren't they? They're trying to go through their whole roster to figure out who's going to, make the team, and you got to give everyone a chance. And there's going to be some automatics, right? Like Posey, but
Starters at most, play 5 innings, and basically Bob Melvin of the A's met the Giants the other day, and I was there and wrote about it. And I said, "What'd you think?" He said, "This is perfect. Our starting pitchers pitched very well, and then the kids came in and they gave up a lot of runs. But it doesn't matter. It does matter because these kids are looking to find a place, not this year on the roster, in the future, and impress management. But once again, you get the games, the last 3-4 innings, and you get 40 guys in each team. They're coming and going, and of course, and I've written this, and other people have too. In the real season, the regular season in any sport, baseball, football, basketball, soccer, the only thing that matters is to win. But in the exhibition season, or as the NFL and calling it preseason.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, Art, stay with us a minute. We're going to cut to our first commercial break with the trivia.
Yeah, hold that thought.
Hold that thought.
Yeah.
Okay, here's our first baseball trivia question. When was the first night game in World Series history played?
I know that one, but
I'm
going to let. I do.
Okay, wow.
I'm going to defer to Art because he's.
Okay, don't answer the question yet. When we come back, we're going to let you answer that question.
Respect for my elders.
All right. So email edward@sportsecon101.com. The answer to that question. Don't touch that dial. SportsEcon 101 will be right back.
Yeah, sorry I had to cut you off there. We got these hard breaks, Art. It just you know how radio is. Anyway. All right. So you're going to be back in the Bay Area next week?
Well, the question is whether I come home this weekend or the next weekend.
Okay.
If I have any work, I'll stay down the next weekend. Then I come home for about 10 days and go to the Final Four Masters.
Oh, sweet. Oh, you were just amazing. You were amazing. Man.
That's awesome.
Yeah, he just lives for this stuff.
Sure.
I don't blame you.
Almost done
Best.
here. That.
Almost ready here.
All right.
Okay.
And away we go. Welcome back to Sports Econ 101. One more time. I'm Edward Brown, your host, along with Bruce McGowan. First trivia question. When was the first night game in World Series history played? Now, Bruce says he knows this, so
I know
we're going to defer to you first.
Yeah,
See if you know that.
See if you know that, Art. You know which year and which teams.
Art, you there?
Yeah,
Oh, okay. So here's our question. See,
no. Pretty soon we'll be able to answer what was the last day game.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
true.
That's true.
Day game now.
Very true.
Shame, because I always thought it was great staying home from school. I'm not staying home, but going to school with the transistor radio.
Yep.
And
Yep.
listening to the World Series.
Yeah,
I still remember listening to or watching. We got to watch on TV during lunchtime the amazing Mets and the Orioles.
69, yeah.
So, Art, do you know the answer to that though? The first night game in World Series history.
I don't know.
Okay. I can tell you, it's 1971
Yes.
Pittsburgh versus Baltimore.
Very good.
Yeah. And Bruce Keeson, I believe, the young right-hander, was the starter for Pittsburgh, and I believe that was the only night game played in that series, and the Pirates won that series, and it was Roberto Clemente's last great moment. The next year, after the next season, he was killed in a plane crash.
Yeah. And,
But he got the MVP in that series.
Game 4 won by the Pirates 7-3.
Yeah.
Very
Yeah.
good.
Well, I'm a base. Art is the thing about Art Spander, our guest here. Art covers golf, tennis, college basketball, college football, Major League Baseball, NBA basketball, NFL football, and anything else you cover, Art?
Art, when do you get a chance to sleep?
Over the years, I covered the Winter Olympics, Summer Olympics.
There you go.
Covered one Indy 500.
Wow.
Covered several Kentucky Derbies, several Belmont Stakes.
Wow.
Several NBA championships.
How many curling contests did you
Again, I covered the Warriors. I was the beat person for the Chronicle, 1975 when they won the championship.
Yep. I remember that vividly because that was my first experience covering sports, and I still have all of Art's articles in a scrapbook from the San Francisco Chronicle when the Warriors won their first championship on the West Coast.
Don't let your wife throw that out.
No, she never did that. She knows better. But did you have a favorite sport, Art, or you like the sport you're just covering? I mean, you seem to be a guy who a man for all seasons, so to speak. You have one that you just really enjoy the most? If you had to pick one of all the sports, Art, which one would you pick? Well,
Art?
it sounds like he's either befuddled or we lost him.
Maybe he's still thinking about what sport he likes.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I'll ask you first. How does one either know so much about so many sports, or he's writing about it, he's not managing it or coaching it.
Right. I think a lot of it is just you have to be a fan. And Art is like me. You're a big fan of the games. Where would you rather be, other than surfing or hiking in the mountains? Or maybe, I don't know. I enjoy teaching, but not as much. I love hanging out at the ballpark. I love talking to the athletes. I love getting the best seat in the house, and you get a first, row seat, so to speak, and you get to talk to the athletes. It's a long day. It's a lot of pressure. It's not as glamorous as everybody says it is, because your hours are strange and you don't have the 9-to-5 routine and you travel some, but it's a lot of fun. I've been doing it for 41 years, mostly in radio and some in television, a little writing. Art has been doing almost strictly writing, and it's a lot more fun than a regular 9-to-5 job. I think we got Art back on the phone. Art, are you with us again?
I'm here.
Okay. So we asked the question.
I have to stand outside.
Yeah, no problem. We were asking you the question, though. I mean, you've covered so many sports. Is there one in particular that, if you were told, Art, you have to stick with one sport only for the next year, would you have a choice of golf or tennis or baseball or what?
Probably my favorite. Baseball is right there with it. I like both games because of the pace of the game and because there's plenty of time for conversation. Whereas in football, it's so manic. And I know everybody is a football fan. That's the most important sport in America. But you never get time to talk to people. And the games, once a week, and you're looking for stuff all week, and you're asking the same questions. And if your team has won, they're 2-10, and what do you write? Whereas in baseball, if you're having a losing season, you get to September, the end of August, and you can start writing about what's going to come up from the minors. And anyway, and also it's a conversational sport. People sit around and talk.
That's
in
true.
A baseball game, and they don't in a football game. And if you go down, as you know, John Madden, once I mentioned to him, we go to the field before the game and talk to the manager. And Madden says, you do? You couldn't do that in football, and that's true. Each football game is so important. I thought, when you broke in, I just was going to say, the league, whether it's NFL preseason, is the fact that in the regular season, all that matters is the final score. It doesn't matter who did it or how. But in the exhibition or the preseason, it's just the opposite. It does matter how, and you want to see how people perform under pressure. So and it doesn't matter if you win or lose. So if the Giants lost 8 in a row, big deal. It doesn't count. It counts in how the players play.
I can just imagine the pressure that's under the general managers right now, trying to figure out who they're going to keep and who you're going to have to let go.
Well, and especially on the teams that are struggling just to be mediocre, I would think that's the big challenge, Art.
You mentioned the Cubs. No pressure on the Cubs except how many new players do they keep? They're all young and the World Series champions. So that's the ideal. And it makes it tough for the young guys trying to find a spot in the team. By the time everybody gets old, I mean, it's funny. I was just thinking the other day, Buster Posey is going to be 30. And it's like, what? And in baseball, okay, he's got a few more years. But all of a sudden, you're 22, and the next thing you're 30. And in sports, I remember reading something years ago. In life, there's always somebody coming up. In sports, accelerated.
No question, yeah.
There's a new 20-year-old, a new 18-year-old coming up. And so you're always looking over your shoulder.
It's interesting you mentioned Buster Posey. I was at the Giants media event before they took off for spring training, and I posed that question to him. No pun intended, posing a question to Posey. And I asked him, I said, are you going to cut back on your number of games behind the plate this year just to alleviate the wear and tear on your knees and maybe play some first base? And he shot me this hard look. He goes, no, I intend to play 140 games behind the plate this year. And I guess that's the philosophy, isn't it, Art, that a player has to have even when they hit 30, isn't it?
Yeah, I would think so. I would think Willie Mays is still asking that question of himself.
Buster wants to catch.
Yeah.
The other day, he was playing first base. He'll play first base maybe, 5, 6, 10 games this year. Obviously, catching is the toughest position in baseball. Johnny Bench, who was one of the great Hall of Famer, told me, I had great speed, and then you squat every day for 40 days, for day after day, 162 games, 154 game field days, your knees go.
Yeah.
And there isn't a catcher around at 45, 50 years old who walks normally.
That's true. They're almost like you sometimes confuse them with football players. I got to ask you about personalities, Art, because you've gotten to know so many people. You mentioned John Madden, who is thankfully doing much better after the heart surgery, and he's kind of cut back and really only worked, I don't think he's really doing much at all on the air anymore. He turned 80 about a year ago, but he's still got an incredible mind. Can you tell us a little bit about your relationship, and not just your relationship, but the kind of guy John Madden was? Because a lot of people always think of him as a television commentator, and I still think of him as this great football coach who coached for 10 years with the Oakland Raiders during their glory years.
I always liked John because he's a Bay Area type guy. Very open, and a lot of coaches say, I never said that. Back when I was the person for the Chronicle on the Raiders, I believe it was 1976. And so he didn't like the story I wrote, and that, and of course, the green sheet. He'd come running out with a paper and said, where did you get this? And then obscenities. Where did you get this? And then he'd tell you, this is why you're wrong. For a lot of coaches, Bill Walsh is the opposite. They'll quote, read the papers, although he knew exactly what everybody wrote, what Ira Miller wrote, what I wrote, what Vicky wrote. No, but John is just an open person, and when the commercials were boom, and he boom, that's it, that's John. And this is the truth. This has got to be 16 years ago. We both live in the East Bay. We're crossing the Bay Bridge, and I'm like 2 lanes different from wide of where John is, and he sees me. He starts honking and waving. How many famous people, celebrities, would do that if they knew you?
Yeah.
You might do it to John. But John is just a great person, and I've always enjoyed him. Frank Cooney, who I used to work with at the Examiner, now runs the Sports Exchange. He and John are good friends. And John, He was very smart. In the old days, he was making not a lot of money as a Raider coach. He bought a lot of land out there in the Diablo Valley. And that land is worth a lot of money. People have bought it, and John lives out there as well. But, you know, he did have heart problems. And you mentioned he's doing better. And I did see him. He came to a Raider game this year, and he lost a lot of weight. Wouldn't recognize him.
Wow.
But he's still around. He's a great guy.
Okay, Art, stay with us because when we come back, I do want to ask you about this idea of fans calling the plays, okay? Here's our second trivia question, all right, about baseball. And this one actually is probably easy. I know Bruce is going to know this one too. Who gave up the home run to Carlton Fisk in Game 6 of the 1975 World Series? You know that one.
I should know that one.
Don't
I may not.
Come on, you got to know that one. Email Edward at sportsecon101.com the answer to that question. Don't touch that dial. We'll be right back.
Okay.
I thought you'd know that right away.
No, you know, I've got a guess on that one.
75, right?
Yeah, 75, yeah, at Fenway, yeah.
Reds pitcher.
Reds pitcher, I'm going to say
Maloney? I don't know.
Pat Darcy, Raleigh Eastwick, something like that. I can't remember.
Who did you say was?
Well, I was thinking of a guy out of the bullpen because it was late in the game. You know, somebody kind of obscure. I mean, the thing about the Reds is they didn't have great pitching even when they were the Big Red Machine. Their pitching, I mean, they just had an all-star lineup.
Yeah,
look at that lineup. Almost every position was an all-star player. So we'll take a crack at it. We'll both take a shot.
I remember, you know, you're talking about the bench and the knees, and I remember we had Sid Bream on, and you know, what I remember about Sid was that he was very slow. That's what I remember.
Well, I remember he beat that throw home.
Well, that's the thing, and so I made the comment that I said, yeah, you know,
against his old team.
Yes, exactly.
For the Braves, yeah.
And so I remember telling him that, you know, gosh, Sid, you know, you weren't known for your speed, but man, you just cook it.
Well, you know who tried to throw him out and failed? Barry Bonds.
That's right.
Yeah,
that's right.
That was the one thing Bonds didn't have. It was a good arm.
Good arm. But it's funny because Sid, he kind of took a little bit of umbrage that he goes, well, I used to be very fast before 2 knee surgeries. And I go, oh, sorry about that.
Yeah.
All right.
Here we go. All right.
Welcome back to Sports Econ 101. Edward Brown here along with Bruce McGowan. Second baseball trivia question. Who gave up the home run to Carlton Fisk in Game 6 of the 1975 World Series?
Well, our guest Art Spander and I both are trying to figure that one out because we both were watching that game. I don't know if you were covering that, Art. I wasn't. I was just getting my.
I watched it on TV.
Yeah. That was at Fenway Park, 1975. I had literally just started my radio career in a little town in Auburn, which is outside of Sacramento in the foothills, in the Sierra Nevada foothills. I remember watching that on television in a little hotel. I think it was a relief pitcher like a Pat Darcy or a Raleigh Eastwick, who were one of those. You know, the Reds, the Big Red Machine had great hitters, all-stars at almost every position, but they didn't have, they had Don Gullett, I remember, but they didn't have a great pitching staff. It was a good pitching staff. Yeah. Who was it?
Well, you got to pick one. You got to pick one.
Okay, I'll say Pat Darcy.
Yes!
All right.
Very good.
Yeah. Right-hander, I believe. Yeah, there you go.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So here, a few weeks ago, I took this article out, and it's gotten yellow because I haven't looked at it for a while. Okay, so fans calling the plays. There's a new team giving it a try, and of course, it's the Salt Lake Screaming Eagles of Indoor Football League.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
So, I mean,
minor league football.
Yeah, and so I'm thinking, you know, probably football would be the main. You're not gonna call basketball plays. You know,
in baseball you can call a pitch, but I think
but football I can kind of see. Yeah. So the idea is the fans calling the plays in real time after scouting some of the players and having a say in the final roster and starting lineup.
Now, how do they determine which fan gets to do this?
Don't know.
What do you think of that idea? Art? You like it? I mean, it's minor league football. Maybe it's a way to pump up interest and attendance or something. I don't know.
I don't like it because the fact fans are biased. And when I say biased, I don't care what team you like. You look at a play and you say, he was safe. Guy, he was out.
Yeah.
You hear boos in a ballpark? They boo.
Well, I don't think we're talking about. I don't think we're talking about from an umpire standpoint. I think what they're talking about, if I think about it correctly here, I think it's more scouting. So I think it's like, okay, we're going to call a draw play on this one.
Yeah,
more of a coaching thing.
Possible, but it's not going to work in the big leagues.
No, of course not.
I mean, big leagues of the NFL and MLB and the NBA, you can have it in an exhibition game. You can have Dave Newhouse, who's retired, the Tribune, and I, in the preseason, coach Cal basketball. In other words, okay, go out there and make basketball. What? You can pick players, but it's not, you don't know what's going on. The general manager, the coach, those people know what's going on. So you can have fun with it, and of course, to play your all-star teams, the little and of course the fans vote for the players in the all-star. Yeah. I've been thinking of those
fantasy football
games,
yeah.
or baseball, or Instagram, or something. You can actually pick players off of their statistics.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, are you gonna hit and run? And do you know how fast the guy at first base is?
Yeah.
There's a reason. I have a line. As you know, I enjoy wine. I wrote a wine column. I say cars, wine, and ball players get what you pay for.
Mm.
The reason certain ball players make $10 million, at least when they get around, and another guy maybe makes $500,000. Well, you know why that guy is good? Why is he earning his $10 million? Because his speed, the ability to hit the outside pitch. That's why they have managers and general managers and coaches and et cetera.
But sometimes guys start off at 500,000 and they earn their way up, right?
If you want to watch the best players play at their best, you better have somebody, Bill Belichick, for example, who knows how to win Super Bowls, and the late Bill Walsh, who knew how to win Super Bowls, and coaching, managing, Casey Stengel, the old guy, those days, they knew what their ball players and who could get there. Tommy Lasorda once told me, man thinks managing is sending up a pinch hitter. He says, no, it isn't. It's making sure every player in your team is ready when the game starts.
Yeah. You know, I think, first of all, it's totally different than fantasy football because the football game actually happens the way it happens, and you just happen to be on the sideline just kind of, thinking, okay, I should take this player. If you're actually choosing which plays to do, that is different. But I think what would be kind of cool, though, is what would happen if they said, okay, each team, you have to choose a whole set of downs that gets called by a fan. You know, and the thing is, again, you got to make sure it's someone who really is for your team. You don't want to call, draw plays every time as an example. But I think it would kind of add sort of a fun little element.
Well, in the minor, as we said, the minor league level, I think.
You remember
Why not?
Richard Nixon when he's president and playing a play for the Redskins?
That's right. Yes, he did.
And they didn't use it, but I mean, everybody, and that's what makes sports great. It's funny. I played the violin, and I go to the symphony, and I listen to it, and then I read a review 2 days later, and it says this person was awful. She didn't play the piano well. I'm saying I thought it was great, but in sports, you know exactly what's happening. Somebody catches a fly ball, it's good. They drop the fly ball, it's bad. If the falls off the bar, it's bad. So you judge that, and of course, most people play sports, so they know what's going on.
You know, it's interesting. You mentioned George Allen and Richard Nixon. Actually, that game that he suggested a play for was a playoff game against the 49ers in 1971, and George Allen actually did use the play. It was a reverse, and it lost like 8 yards. So George Allen was good buddies with Richard Nixon. They were good friends. Yeah.
Well, I bet the players didn't like Nixon, and they go, "We're going to show him."
And then again, Kyle Shanahan, the new coach, and don't get me into the backpack. I can explain that another time.
Of the 49ers, for our listeners that don't know who Kyle Shanahan is, the new 49er coach.
In the Super Bowl, they're leading, and all they have to do is kick a field goal, and he calls a pass, one, I think a 10 to 12-yard loss.
Stop the clock.
Next one is a penalty. They lose 20 yards, they can't kick a field goal because they're so afraid that Brady is going to score a touchdown and beat him. And so, I mean, sometimes maybe the fans know more than the coaches, but not really.
Yeah, it's
Well,
interesting.
look what Pete Carroll called a couple of years ago,
Yeah,
right? And Butler goes ahead and intercepts a pass when everyone says, "Oh, why did they just give it to Marshawn Lynch?"
yeah. Well, of course, and then you can, yeah,
Somebody expects him to go up the middle.
yeah.
And maybe he says, he'll think, they expect me to do that, so I'm going to do this because they expect me to do
Exactly.
Well, that I do agree with. I do like the contrarian.
Well, that happened with the 49ers, too, in 2012. They get down to the 5-yard line against the Baltimore Ravens, and Jim Harbaugh throws 3 passes to Michael Crabtree, and Frank Gore had pretty much gotten them down there with his running abilities, and they didn't give him the ball once. So crazy things happen. Art, before we let you go, because I really appreciate your being with us, I got to ask you a question. I know Edward has one more for you, too, but today's sports, the athletes are making so much money. And I mean, we've been talking about this for years, but it's just gotten absurd now. Kevin Durant is making, I believe, with the Warriors, in excess of $25 million a year, and that doesn't include all the endorsement money he's going to get. I mean, where does this end? Does it end when the fans finally say we're not going to pay, $500 for a courtside seat? When is it going to end?
As you know, the money doesn't come from ticket sales.
Yeah.
Television. As long as TV wants to put sports on TV, on television, because people are interested. How many shows can you watch? You know the ending, but you don't know the ending. Sports is very big, and so the networks. I mean, apparently ESPN is going to drop a whole bunch of people, and because they're in the red. Why? Because they spent billions to get the NFL, and as long as the networks spend, you know who they're paying. They're not paying the city owners; they're paying the players. The players know that, and you have to have a good team, good players, and I don't care. In other words, they're not hurting me; they're not hurting you. If they had a cure for cancer and they said we're going to hold out, then I'd be upset.
I like that.
No, but it is the old trickle down theory. It's like $10 for a hot dog.
Yeah.
I mean the seats and all. If you
Sure,
add it all up
sure.
together,
But Art makes a good point. Yeah, but
It's relative.
everything is relative.
It's funny out there. One thing about this, people say, "Oh, you can't go to games," but every game is on TV now.
I know.
You can watch the Warriors every game. You can watch the A's. You can watch the Giants. So you may not have enough for a season, even a ticket to a game, but if you have direct TV, you have cable TV.
Yeah, that's true.
You can watch everything.
You can watch the small colleges. You can even watch the high school games nowadays.
That's right.
Yeah.
And you do it in the comfort of your home.
Do it in the
And
comfort
you
of
can
your home.
pause it when you have to go to the restroom.
Yeah, with HD television on the widescreen.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, Art, any more questions?
No,
Yeah.
he answered them all.
Art, you've been such a great guest. I really appreciate you joining us short notice like this, and we'll look forward to crossing paths with you in the not too distant future back here in the Bay Area. Have a great time down there in tennis land in Indian Wells, and I guess you're good luck with all your future travels, which I guess are going to take you all over the country, huh?
Yeah. By the way, I'll plug myself. Everything I write, whether it's for the Examiner, for Newsday, for British papers, one of my sons-in-laws posts on my own website, artspander.com.
Artspander.com.
The piece I just wrote for Newsday on White Sox. Very interesting players, but no chance to win the pennant. And the Giants and the Cubs. Cubs are going to be very good guys, by the way.
Oh yeah. And
World Series, and you got all these young players. They should be good for quite a few years.
yeah. Well, you're still doing a great job, Art, and all these many years, no lack of enthusiasm, no lack of just being able to figure out what's going on out there and asking the good questions. So much a part of the Bay Area.
Actually, I will ask you a question. Art, how long have you been writing?
Well, I graduated UCLA in 1960. I went to work at United Press International, working the all-night 10 p.m. till 6 a.m. And I was not writing sports. I was writing news. I covered Marilyn Monroe's funeral. I covered JFK when he was running for president. I was like the backup. Here, go out there. I covered the X-15 flights and out at Muroc at Edwards Air Force Base, and I love airplanes, so that was a lot of fun.
Well, let's put it this way: who's been writing longer than you?
Oh, well.
That's kind of a nice thing, though, isn't it? To be
Yeah.
able to have your life be this, it really is. I've said it all along. It's more than just a lifestyle. It's a hobby. It's a passion, and I don't think you can fake that. And that's why you've been doing it so many years.
Not for 50-something years.
Yeah.
Well, the one thing is obviously, if I didn't like sports, if the music critic didn't like music, if the art critic didn't understand painting, you wouldn't do it. But people say to me, it's sort of once you don't get it very much, but every once in a while you'll be at the World Series or the Super Bowl or the Masters or the Final Four, and you'll hear a kid say, "I don't like this. This is too much work." I said, if you don't like the big tournaments, the big championships, after doing the regular season, you're in the wrong business.
Yeah, no question about that.
Art Spander, thank you again for joining us on Sports Econ 101.
Okay.
All right.
All right, good guy. Yeah, as I said, Art, I've run into him many times and got to know him as a youngster, but I read him when I was, a teenager here in the Bay Area, and he's still doing it. I think Art is close to 80 now.
He's got to be.
Yeah.
All right, last trivia question. Which baseball franchise has the most wins all time entering the 2017 season? All right, stay with us. Sports Econ 101. We'll have some closing comments when we come back.
Deal.
Okay. Let me see this. That was good.
Yeah, Art's okay.
Yeah, he's a good guy.
Oh man, I had a heck of a time finding a guest. Art was the only guy I tried Steve Baker. Not this week. I tried Judy Babbitt, didn't call me back. Vida was on the road. Denny McClain didn't return my call. I should have reached. I had about 5 other people I reached out to.
It'd be kind of fun to get some new people too.
Yeah, I just gotta.
Actually, if you do get this new thing.
Yeah, one of the things I proposed to them is I think with the updates, which is what I'll be doing. I said, so many people now are getting their scores off of the telephone. Why don't we do something different? We mention a score or mention the key scores, but do features on players, on people, on general managers, interesting people, historical stuff. Stuff that you don't get normally.
That's
even if it's only a minute and a half, it's a little quickie, and I'm doing 15 or 12 of these things a night.
I think that's very interesting.
Yeah. So anyway, we'll see.
All right. Anything you want to cover in the last minute or so?
Yeah, just
let's talk.
Yeah, we'll just do this.
Okay, here we go. Welcome back to Sports Econ 101 last time. For today, I'm Edward Brown, your host, along with Bruce McGowan, my famous co-host. Last trivia question: which baseball franchise has the most wins all time during the 2017 season?
You'd think it would be the New York Yankees, and I would have to say the Yankees, but I get the feeling this is a trick question.
It's not necessarily a trick question, but it's not the Yankees.
Yeah, because people forget the Yankees were not very good the first 20 years of their existence, which is 1903 to 1919. Actually, it's a little less than 20 years. I'm going to say St. Louis.
No, it's actually the Giants.
Well, the Giants
have been around for a long time.
They've been a long time too.
1880 something.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
how many wins?
God, I have no idea.
10,951.
Wow. Yeah, Major League Baseball in its present form started in 1903, but the Giants were playing in the old National League as far back as 1883.
Yeah.
So those games count. In terms of the all-time wins. Yeah,
Just because they moved out from New York to San Francisco.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Yeah. And again, they won 4 pennants in a row, 1920 to 23, or 1921 to 24. 2 World Series wins, two tough losses to the Yankees, and then Washington Senators.
That's like Carl Hubble.
No, Carl Hubble was later. He was later in the 30s. That's
when Mel Lott
was just a young player when he was just breaking in when they were finishing up that run.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
They had Christy Mathewson was still around, believe it or not.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Thoughts for the day. Casey Stengel said, the team has come along slow but fast. I like that. He must have been talking about the 62 Mets. And
by the way, I was wrong about Christy Mathewson. It was back in the teens that he was really a stopper. The 20s it was.
He died from.
He died in 1924. At the age of like 45 or something, because he ingested some chlorine gas.
Okay, and Harvey Mackey, I'm not sure who that is, but he says it doesn't matter whether you're pursuing success in business, sports, the arts, or life in general. The bridge between wishing and accomplishing is discipline. I like that. Yeah. Tune in next week to Sports Econ 101. We're going to be discussing sports topics from a business perspective and asking more sports trivia questions. Thanks for listening. On behalf of our team, I'm your host, Edward Brown. We'll see you next week.
Good night, America.
So long.
That's all right.
Perfect time.
Good deal. So this is Glen Ellen? Yes.
Glen Ellen Inn. Yes. Have you ever been there?
No, no.